Previously, we have seen that transportation in human being and other animals. Today, we will discuss about transportation in plants, how materials are transported in plants. Firstly, I am Dr. Esehak, mobile number 94312 We have discussed earlier that how plants take in simple compounds as carbon dioxide and photosynthesize energy stored in their chlorophyll containing organ, namely leaves. The other kind of raw materials needed for building plant bodies will also have to take separately, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium and other minerals. For plants, the soil is the nearest and richest source of energy. The absorption of these substances therefore occurs through the part which are in contact with the soil, namely roots. If the distances between chlorophyll containing organs and the organs which are in contact with the soil is very small, then through simple diffusion the materials can be transported. Diffusion, as we have seen, that is, it is process of movement of ions or molecules from an area of its higher concentration to an area of its lower concentration. But as we see that there are different kinds of plants of, for example, very tall trees like eucalyptus, it may be up to 100 meters. Then how the materials are transported from root to leaves and from leaves to root. If the distances between the soil containing organ and chlorophyll containing organ are very small, energy and raw material can easily be diffused. But if these distances become large, because of changes in plant body design, diffusion processes will not be sufficient. There must be a transportation system which provide raw materials in leaves and energy in roots. A proper system of transportation is therefore essential in such situations. Energy needs differs between different body designs. As we know, then plants do not move, एनर्जी रिक्वायरमेंट कम होगा क्योंकि मूवमेंट नहीं है, उनका मूव नहीं होते हैं एक जगह से दूसरी जगह, लोकोमोशन नहीं होता है. सेकेंड इज मोस्ट ऑफ द सेल्स इन प्लांट्स आर डेड. तो डेड प्लांट्स को डेड प्लांट सेल्स को एनर्जी नहीं चाहिए. एज ए रिजल्ट प्लांट्स हैव लो एनर्जी नीड्स and can use relatively slow transport system. उनमें slow transport system भी होगा तो काम चल जाएगा. हम लोग में तो fast transport system चाहिए. The distances over which transport system have to operate can be very high in plants such as very tall trees like eucalyptus. I have told you just now. Plants transport system will move energy stored from leaves to the roots and raw materials from roots like phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium and other minerals. These two pathways are constructed independently and function independently. One is xylem and another is phloem. Xylem is also known as wood, and phloem is also known as bast, but it is not given in your NCERT books. Xylem is water conducting channels, while phloem is food conducting channels. In xylem, firstly we are going to discuss about xylem, that is water conducting channels. As we have learned in class 9th that xylem is a tissue, a special type of tissue. It is made up of 4 different kinds of cells. First is tracheids, second vessels, third one xylem fibers, and fourth one is xylem parenchyma. But in class 10 we are to discuss only these two types of cells. The cells of xylem or cells of phloem are also known as cells of xylem, and phloem is known as elements. These two cells, tracheids and vessels of root, stem and leaves are interconnected. जैसे रेलवे लाइन एक जगह से दूसरी जगह के लिए सब इंटरकनेक्टेड है, कहीं कोई ट्रेन पकड़ेगा और वो ट्रेन जिस डेस्टिनेशन तक जाना है वो चली जाएगी, वैसे ही tracheids and vessels of root, stem and leaves are interconnected channels through which water and minerals are transported from root to leaves. The part of the plant which are in contact with soil, that is the root. The cells of root is in direct contact with the soil, and these cells actively take up ions so that the concentration of ion in cell is greater than outer side. To minimize this concentration, water enters into the cell of the roots. मैंने क्या बताया? रूट के सेल्स कंटिन्यूअसली आयंस को टेकअप करते रहते हैं. ड्यू टू दिस there is creation of ionic concentration inside cells. The concentration of ion is greater than that there outside, and due to this, to minimize this, the water enters into the cells of roots, and from there it comes into a stem, and from there it comes into the leaves, and through leaves it is evaporated, it is transpired. In xylem tissue, vessels and tracheids of roots, stem and leaves are interconnected to form a continuous system of water conducting channels reaching all parts of the plants. At the roots, cells in contact with the soil actively take up ions. This creates a difference in the concentration of these ions sorry, between the roots and the soil. Water therefore moves into the root from the soil to eliminate this difference. This means that there is a steady movement of water into the root xylem, creating a column of water, and the water is steadily pushed up. Water is steadily pushed up, but this theory is not correct. If it takes place, it may take place at night. But during the daytime, when the stomata are in open condition, open position, there is continuous release of water in the form of water vapor. That is known as transpiration. The loss of water in the form of water vapor from the aerial part of the plant, especially leaves, is termed as transpiration. It is very essential process for plants. Just I have told you that water is pushed upward. It may take place at night. But during the day, what happens? Suppose it is plant, it is leaf, here it is roots, which absorbs water and minerals from the soil. From roots, the water enters into the stem and leaves. How it can take place? As we have seen that on the surface of leaves, there are thousands of tiny apertures, and these tiny apertures are known as stomata. Here, a suction pressure is created due to opening of a stomata, and due to this, the water is sucked from root to stem and leaves. This proves that water is not pushed up, but it is pulled. This theory is known as transpiration pull theory. Pull means khichna. See here, we have taken two identical flower pot. मिट्टी के गमले को लिया. In one plant, there is a plant. In one pot, there is a plant potted here. And in another flower pot, we have taken a stick of the same height. Here we enclose this flower pot with polythene sheet. Here also with polythene sheet. Again we covered it with polythene sheet. Here also covered with polythene sheet. And put both the pots into open sunlight. What will happen after some time? You will see a small water droplets depositing here and inside the polythene, which have a potted plant. But here you will not see this type of water droplets because here water is present due to the loss from the stomatal pore. But here it is not a plant. Here we have taken an AST, which do not release any water. These experiments provided us that the water which is lost through the stomata are replaced by water from the xylem vessels in the leaf. In fact, evaporation of water molecules from the cells of a leaf creates a suction pressure which pull water from the xylem cells of the roots. The loss of water in the form of water vapor from the aerial part of the plant is known as transpiration, I had told you. What is its significance? What is the significance of transpiration? Transpiration helps in the absorption of water and minerals upward from roots to leaves. अपवर्ड मूव करता है ट्रांसपिरेशन के वजह से, रूट से लेके लिव्स तक, चाहे प्लांट्स कितना भी हाइट का हो. इट ऑल्सो हेल्प्स इन द टेम्परेचर रेगुलेशन. सेकेंड पॉइंट, टेम्परेचर रेगुलेशन होता है. प्लांट बॉडी के अंदर बिल्कुल एकदम एयर कंडीशन के तरह से ठंडा रहता है. द इफेक्ट ऑफ रूट प्रेशर इन ट्रांसपोर्ट ऑफ वाटर इज इंपॉर्टेंट एट नाइट, बट ड्यूरिंग द डे द वाटर is pulled because a major driving force, pulling force is taking place at the surface of leaves. In phloem, as we have discussed, that phloem transports food substances. The transportation in phloem is performed by two elements. First is sieve tubes and second is companion cells. In previous class, in 9th, we had learned that there are 4 different kinds of cells present in phloem. First is sieve tube, second is companion cells, third is phloem fiber, and fourth is phloem parenchyma. But here in class 10, we will learn about these 2 cells only. Sieve means चलनी होता है. ये very minute pore वाले cells होते हैं. Sieve tubes. नाम ही, because the sieve tubes independently cannot conduct water, sieve tube needs help of companion cells. Sieve tube के all around जो cells होते हैं वो companion cells होते हैं. These are companion cells. It is food is synthesized in chlorophyll containing organ, that is the leaves, as we have discussed. The soluble products of photosynthesis is transported, and this transportation is known as translocation. The soluble products of photosynthesis is termed as translocation. The transport of water in xylem, as we have seen, do not require any energy. But here, in case of phloem, energy is utilized as ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Sucrose enters into the phloem cells, creating a higher osmotic pressure. And due to this higher osmotic pressure, water also enters into it. And here, sucrose is mixed with water. It becomes in soluble form, and in its soluble form it is transported from a higher pressure to lower pressure as and when any organ like root, stem, fruit, developing seeds, etc. needs food. In xylem, we have seen water always move upward from lower side, from root to tip of the plant. But in phloem, what happens? Generally, food moves from upside to downside. But in a spring season, the stored food, स्प्रिंग सीजन में पत्तियां झड़ जाती हैं, डेवलपिंग बर्ड्स को फूड की जरूरत पड़ती है. स्टोर्ड फूड मूव फ्रॉम रूट टू द टिप ऑफ द प्लांट फॉर द टू प्रोवाइड एनर्जी to the developing birds. I am giving some questions for homework. Define transpiration. Second question. What are the differences between transport in xylem and transport in phloem? One add here, why it is essential